A quiet brush with death. Hello everyone, my name is Manahil, and today I'll be presenting on David McFadden's poem Slow Black Dog. I will explore how the poem transforms an ordinary car ride into a moment of deep, existential awareness. This poem may seem extremely simple on the surface, just a moment on the road, a car stopping for a dog, but as we look more closely, we notice the poem unfolding into something much deeper. It becomes a meditation on how close life always is to loss, interruption, and morality. This poem asks us to notice what we usually ignore, the quiet, constant presence of death beside us. I'll be going, I'll be starting with introduction, then my thesis, and then I'm going to go towards texts and analysis, and then conclusion. Introduction. David McFadden was a Canadian poet known for his wry, observant, and conversational style. He often wrote about ordinary places and experiences, but used them to raise profound emotional and philosophical questions. His poems don't lecture or moralize. Instead, they invite us to notice what we normally overlook. This perspective is central to Slow Black Dog, where he observes a simple moment but reveals something deeply human underneath. About the poem, Slow Black Dog is set in a moving car, which creates a sense of calm, motion, and quiet reflection. The structure of the poem is very cinematic. We move from peaceful observation to sudden disruption to emotional shock in just a few lines. The poem's title, The Black Dog, is significant because throughout literacy history, the black dog has been used to symbolize death, grief, or depression, and that symbolism is what the poem turns toward. McFadden uses this moment, a dog crossing the road, to explore how life's tonicality can suddenly shift and how morality quietly exists inside even the most ordinary experiences. Thesis statement. My central argument is in Slow Black Dog, David McFadden uses a sudden interruption of a meditative car ride to expose the fragile boundary between calm awareness and mortal fear, suggesting that death is not a distant event but a quiet force woven into everyday consciousness. So the poem isn't just describing what happened on the road, it's revealing how death is always present in our awareness, even if we don't always acknowledge it. Let's begin with the opening lines. Meditating in the back of Jack's green Volkswagen rolling along Highway 2. This moment creates a tone of peace, reflection, and dreamlike thought. The car's steady movement symbolizes the predictable flow of life, something easy, automatic, and safe. This calm is important because it forms the emotional foundation that will later be disrupted. McFadden is showing how fragile our sense of safety actually is, how easily peace can be undone. Sudden disruption. Then the poem snaps to a sudden breaking and a breaking of that dream. The repetition of the words breaking and breaking mimics the sound and shock of stopping. The dream here is the speaker's peaceful, detached thinking, and it shatters instantly. This is the moment where the poem exposes what my thesis emphasizes. Life and death are separated by only a thin emotional line. 1 second of awareness can collapse everything. The Black Dog, Mortal Fear. Next, we meet the poem's title, and a dog slowly walking across into our speeding lane. A black dog. The dog is not frantic or aggressive. It is slow, calm, not dramatic. This is where the symbolism becomes clear. Death doesn't always arrive dramatically. It moves quietly, patiently, crossing our path in the middle of everyday life. The contrast between the slow dog and the speeding car reveals the central tension of the poem. Life rushes forward, but morality waits and intersects when it chooses. Life speeds forward, death moves at its own pace, and eventually those two paths intersect with each other. The boy is screaming, human awareness. Finally, we see the emotional response to this realization. And in tall grass at roadside, a boy waving his arm, screaming. The boy represents the human reaction to morality, fear, helplessness, and panic. This moment is unresolved. We don't know what happens next. Does the car hit the dog? Does the dog escape? Does the boy's warning come in time? There is no closure because death really rarely gives us any closure. We are left suspended, just like we are when we face the reality that death has no clear answers. McFadden leaves us suspended in the feeling, just as the characters are. Ambiguous ending, silence and unresolved awareness. Now the poem reaches its ending, and what's most striking is that nothing is resolved. There is no explanation, no aftermath, no clarification of what happens next. The poem simply stops. And this lack of closure isn't an accident. It mirrors what happens when we encounter morality in real life. We are left with questions, fear, and a sudden awareness that we are not in control. The final moment, with the boy screaming, the dog crossing, and the car braking, leaves us suspended between action and consequence. This suspension forces us to sit in the emotional space between calm and panic, just like the speaker. McFadden uses this unresolved ending to show that death is not something we confront once and move on from. It leaves traces, it lingers in the mind, it changes how we see the world afterward. The poem refuses to tell us what happens because the meaning lies in the interruption itself, not the outcome. The experience is what matters. That sudden awareness that life is fragile, that everything familiar can shift in an instant. So the ending is quiet, but it echoes. It leaves us exactly where the speaker is left, holding our breath, aware and suddenly awake to the nearness of morality. Conclusion. McFadden's Slow Black Dog transforms a simple moment, a car ride, into a meditation on the presence of death in everyday life. The poem moves through calm awareness, sudden interruption, mortal confrontation, and emotional shock, showing that the awareness of death is not separate from living. This poem reminds us that being alive means living beside death, not separate from it. And the slow black dog is not just in the poem, it is in all of our lives. The question is whether we are willing to notice it. Here's the citation, and thank you.